Welcome back to the Monday Mashup, the flagship show on the upper tier that we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. You can hit us up on Twitter at _upper_tier, or you'll hit us up on Facebook and Instagram, the upper tier, or you'll find audio versions of the show if you don't want to be looking at these four lovely faces on Spotify. Joining me tonight for the Monday Mashup, our resident referee, Mark. How we doing, my man?
How's it going, lads? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, not a pleasure. My partner on the previews and the reviews, Darren. How we doing, Darren?
Evening all, how are we?
Jesus, very quiet tonight. What's going on here?
We are three United fans now. After the weekend, we're bound to be quiet. Like.
Some would say in morning. And also joining me from the network, Ted from Retrotainment Recast. Couple of cameo appearances on the upper tier, and of course one or two cameo appearances I think on the slab as well, if I'm correct. How are we doing, Ted?
Not too bad. It's nice living in the old retro past. You know, United are winning games or winning leagues. It's no bother. It's great back there. This current day stuff is muck.
Well, sure. If you want a bit of advice, they still do the Premiership years, don't they? You can always go back and look at them and just pick the right years.
Yeah, definitely.
Watch them instead of the actual games going forward.
Jeez, I've never seen three lads wishing that Brendan Rodgers was their manager. Huh? Let's do a review of the results of the weekend. Nowhere else to start but Watford 0, Liverpool 5, Villa 2, Wolves 3. Darren, we got that fairly wrong.
We did, didn't we?
We
Jesus.
very wrong.
Well, at one stage, I had Villa for 2-0, and at one stage I was like, tick, there's another one we got right, and then Jesus, I don't know what happened.
Mad,
there,
isn't it? I think people would have thought Wolves, the best result Wolves would have been a draw there, you know.
10 minutes of madness.
Madness.
But great to see.
Good to see Neves back in form as well, like, you know, after everything.
Leicester 4, Man United 2. We'll come back to that. We won't dwell on that at the moment. I won't put us through.
Bet you fucking will.
You can see he's in the background there, Ollie out. Man City 2, Burnley 0. Norwich 0, Brighton 0. That was a shocker for us, Darren. We didn't get that one right anyway.
Great result for Norwich, though, wasn't it?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Clean sheet and the points against a decent Brighton team.
Southampton 1, Leeds 0. Leeds still continuing with their troubles. Brentford 0, Chelsea 1. Brentford very unlucky. I thought they gave a great account of themselves. Everton 0, West Ham 1. Great goal right there. Really enjoyed that one, I have to say. Newcastle 2, Spurs 3. No Grahamo tonight. Very unusual after Spurs winning. And Arsenal and Palace just drew 2-2 with a goal, an equaliser from Lacazette in the 95th minute. Banter Club is alive and well. Where do we begin? Let's begin at the King Power Stadium. Leicester 4, Man United 2. Mark, you can begin.
Where do you begin? Just abysmal, wasn't it? Like, you know, starting Harry Maguire, he didn't look fit at all. Like, Maguire's a slow defender at the best of times, but he looked horrible on Saturday. Again, we haven't had the same 11 he plays. Matic and Pogba, and all. I know he couldn't start Fred with everything that was going on, but yeah, just to me, Maguire's at fault for 3 goals. You know, like this Sanuncu goal, and he's caught ball watching. He doesn't look across. I think Shaw went a second. I think Pogba's back there. They move out. He doesn't look across. He keeps them on side. He lets Daka go round him for Daka's goal, and then obviously the mix up with De Gea, Pogba, and himself for their other goal. But yeah, looking at social media after the game, people are mostly, I don't know what you think, is Ollie out, lads, you know, but there are a few saying about the project and all this. The only thing I seen on Saturday was the Blair Witch Project. It was a horror show, man. Absolute horror show. That was it, man.
You're in the right month for it anyway.
Shit.
Just, lads, it was horrific. It was like a death in the fucking family, you know? It was that bad. Yeah, from start to finish. Again, you look at, obviously, all week you've heard Maguire's out. The last minute, Maguire's in the team sheet and they're going, this is a strange one.
Yeah.
You know, you find out he's had one training session since they got back. He looked like he hadn't had a training session at all, if I'm honest. Like, I agree totally with Mark. I think that's a sad indictment of the way he sees Boy in the squad. And we spoke about this, Noel, you know, and I didn't think Boy would start. I thought he'd do anything he could to keep Boy off the pitch, i.e. play players out of position and stuff like that. And as it was, he rushed Maguire back, and you could tell he wasn't ready. We were okay in spots, but it was only in spots, And when you're going to a place like Leicester, and they're going to be up for a big game against a team like United, big club, and they were going to be fighting and really dogged and resilient for every single ball and fighting for everything. And we just didn't put up a fight. We rolled over to be tickled. And I think, again, kind of echo what Mark said. And, I think for me, the ship has sailed now with Ollie. I think with the squad we have there, with the players at his disposal and stuff like that, the results have to be better and the performances have to be better, results and performances. I know this is a results business, and obviously if you're getting results, people will overlook performances. But when the performances are as bad as they are and the results, you're not picking them up either, that's the writing's on the wall, if you ask me.
Ted?
Yeah, there's only one thing I disagree with there, was Mark saying that Maguire was at fault for 3 of the goals. I think he's at fault for 4 of those goals. I think every single one of those goals, Maguire is at fault in some way, shape, or form for. That is the only thing I can disagree with. The only positive from that whole game was when Rashford came on. He looked a bright spark, got his goal, and I was like, right, we'll get a draw now. Or we can at least try and kick on for a winner. He scores a goal, and within 2 minutes, you've conceded again. That's just depressing. Like that's schoolboy error stuff. Like that's under 12 schoolboy error shit. Like, get yourselves back into the game and concede straight away. It's just, I don't know about Ole out, because I don't know who you bring in at the moment to replace him. Like, you can't kick him out if there's nobody to take him over. So
no, sorry, I just cut across there. I know what Ted is saying, and like from a United point of view, I suppose the names that we would like to see available aren't, but I certainly don't think you let them have the job by default either, because like, let's be honest, there's 10 or 12 managers in that league that could do a better job than Ollie, and that's lads that are below him in the table even. You know what I mean?
But
working with much worse squads and stuff like that.
Yeah, but are they going to walk out on their teams in
this
January? Do you know what I mean?
Man United, man. Absolutely, they will if we go after them. It's
Man
United. We're one of the biggest football clubs in the world. Who doesn't want to manage Manchester United? Other than the likes of a City or a Liverpool manager, where there's a tie to a club like that. Like I think, Noel mentioned it earlier. 3 lads that want Brendan Rodgers. I think we should go after Rodgers in the morning, and I think we get him. I think he'd relish the chance to go and look after a squad like that. I know he's got a really good setup there, the King Power, and they've obviously picked up that FA Cup to follow on from the league a couple of years ago, and he's got a great owner and stuff there, and he's obviously be going into the Lions Den with the United ownership and stuff like that. But I still think he'd relish the job. I still think he'd want to go and sit at the top table and try and put his name out there again and show how good he is as a manager. I think anybody that wouldn't do that, you'd have to wonder about them anay.
And I think that's why I think as well that you probably agree. It wasn't a great shame losing to Leicester, because they're good side managed well. It's how we lost to them. That's what really got me. And I agree with you there. I think Rodgers is a great manager. Obviously he done it up in Scotland, but he also done it down here with the lads over Merseyside. So I think that'd be a good shout. But yeah, it's like we've talked about it here for weeks. There's no game plan. There's no plan B. The players that we have there, a manager can come in and do a job. You've seen what Tuchel's done at Chelsea. Lampard, again, very tactically naive. He's done it in the Championship, and then he was thrown in the deep end with Chelsea, and that's exactly what's happened with Solskjaer as well.
Yeah.
I suppose when you're looking at it, I mean, if Rodgers was to go in, would the United fan base accept him properly, or would it go down the road of Moyes? That's the only thing I would have to fear of.
If the results are right, you've seen it so many times with managers. Like, look at Jose came in. He'd managed Chelsea. He's won the league with Chelsea. People would have thought, United fans won't take him, which some didn't. But I'd definitely take him on board. Absolutely.
I think the thing about Rodgers would be Moyes came after Ferguson. So for me, that was a little bit of a poison chalice for anybody to take, because of the success United have had as a club up to that stage. We were used to winning league titles. We were used to being in the last 4 of the Champions League. We were used to winning cup competitions. Now that fans have seen for the last couple of years what somebody like Ollie can do with the club, you know, as a United fan, if you weren't able to accept someone like Rodgers because of obviously his Liverpool background, or because maybe we feel like he's not high enough profile, you've just got to look at what he's done, you know, to say, do you know what, this guy knows what he's doing. Like tactically, he's absolutely miles ahead of Solskjaer, you know, and you don't win what he's won, and you don't compete the way he's competed. Like other than Klopp, he's been the best Liverpool manager in the last 40 years, probably. Do you know? And I think most Liverpool fans agree with that as well. We just came as close to winning a league title with him as anybody. You know, and only for that night at Selhurst Park, you know, I think he's win that league title. And then everybody's rejoicing about Brendan Rodgers and how he brought the good times back to Anfield and stuff like that. So the ball kind of hopped on the wrong side from that night, but there's no saying he couldn't go into United and do an absolutely unbelievable job. You know,
I think the difference between Rodgers and Moyes is as well. Moyes came in and he set up his team, or his United team, like Everton, not to lose. He didn't go out and try to attack and win games. Where Rodgers does that with Leicester, he goes out. He plays Vardy off the shoulder. He's managed. No one thought him and Iniesta could play up front together, and he's shown that they can do, because everyone was so used to Vardy playing up top on his own and the balls coming across from Alisson and stuff. But I definitely think he could do a job there. But like I said, I just think Moyes, and I've said it here before, he just set up his team wrong when he got to United, you know.
What do you make at the moment, I suppose? I mean, there's a lot of talk coming out at the moment. Ronaldo was quite vocal on certain things. Pogba was quite vocal the other night after the game in terms of his indictment of kind of how he sees things are going. And you look at that Paul Pogba and you compare that Paul Pogba to the one of France and Darren. I know we spoke about it, and I know maybe there's a bit better quality and maybe set up in a different way. But what about the Paul Pogba that was in the dressing room with the battle cry in the middle of that final? We don't see a lot of that at United either, do we?
No, I don't think we do. You know, and I think he takes that role very, very seriously at France, whereas I don't see it. You know, I don't see him as, you know, I think even in the French national team, if somebody stuck an armband on him, I don't think anyone would complain. Do you know what I mean? From a national squad point of view. Whereas I think if you put an armband on him from a United point of view, United fans would rear up and they'd be like, "Why is putting an armband on this absolute pleb for?" You know, we all know how talented the lad is. His attitude at time is very, very questionable. You know, and that's not just off the field, that's on the field. You know, and we spoke about it, this rolling around when you know, some midget has knocked him off the ball in the centre circle, and you're like, get up and absolutely lambaste the bloke, will you? And just let him know, you know, who's in charge, that's your boss, and that's the end of it. Like, he gets absolutely bullied in the Premier League at times by footballers that shouldn't really be able to lace his boots, but guys who are being honest, good professionals, and who are willing to get down and dirty on a Saturday afternoon, and he's just not willing to do that, you know.
Is it that there's maybe a lack of respect upwards towards Ollie, and obviously he'd have a hell of a lot more respect for the likes of a Didier Deschamps?
I think there's a possibility, all right. I think it's hard to say definitely from the outside, but I think there's a definite possibility, you know, with obviously Deschamps now, as well as France manager, has he's proven he's got a track record now of winning trophies. He's a World Cup, he's won a European Championship, and he's won the Nations League now. So that France team, although they are a team of very, very good players, he gets results out of them. Now, I know sometimes the performances can be a little bit questionable, but he gets wins, and he lifts trophies. And you know, that's what good managers do. They get results and they lift silverware.
Yeah, I suppose when you look at the next 7 games you have, like the next 7 games looks like death row when you look at it, really, you know. So you probably would have been looking to take, you know, the 3 points at Leicester. That would have been a game that you would have looked at and said, probably have a good chance potentially of taking 3 points there. And it went skew ways. Is there a case? I mean, who would you like to come in? You know, is there a case for, say, Conte to come in there? And I know Conte is a kind of 18 months to 2-year kind of guy. Is there a case for him to come in, maybe stabilise things a little bit, maybe pick up a trophy, get you back kind of on a road that you're more familiar being on? And then if he does want to drift off, let's say after 2 years, I mean, that's not necessarily may or may not be the case. But if he does decide to drift off, then potentially at that stage, you may have managers available that you would potentially want to come in.
You see, I think our problem there is, I think that's the job Ollie did, isn't it? stabilization of the ship. Yeah. Okay, he didn't lift the trophy, but I mean, he got to enough semis and finals to warrant lifting the trophy, and he just didn't get us over the line. But I think that's the job Solskjaer has done for United. I think United fans now are looking for somebody that's going to go in and lift trophies, definitively, and have them challenging for league titles and, Champions Leagues and FA Cups and stuff like that. Because
Conte would be that man, wouldn't he?
I think Conte could be that man, all right. I think from a United point of view, the pragmatic style of Conte is something that would trouble the fans slightly, But again, and we have to look at this. What do we want from a team? Because you also have to say, can you have everything? Probably not all the time. We're not blessed with an unbelievable wish list of managers out there at the minute that are available for us. You know what I mean? You'd certainly head it with Conte and Zidane for me. Although both, I'd have issues with both of them. Listen, small issues, nothing more than I couldn't get over, if they started winning a couple of games, especially with the way things are going and stuff. But I think Rodgers, to be honest, is the man for us at the minute. I think he could genuinely get us the challenge. I mean, he had Liverpool challenging for league titles, and we've got a far better squad than Liverpool had at that stage. And I think he could have us challenging for a league title in 18 months' time.
Lads, I heard another name. I just want to get your views on it. Mancini.
I heard quite. I actually there was a poll put up on the United website yesterday on one of the United forums yesterday, and there was a lot of names bandied about, and I was surprised, to be honest with you, Mark. Some of the names, there was votes for Emery. Yeah, there was United fans saying they'd have Emery there tomorrow. That they felt like he got a raw deal with Arsenal, and he's done wonders at Villarreal and at Sevilla and stuff like that. And so Emery's name got thrown into the mix. Then obviously Mancini was in there. You had Conte, you had Zidane, you had Brendan Rodgers, you had Pochettino. But again, like, even of those 6 names, like, are any of them absolute proven winners? Over a prolonged period of time? Not really. They've picked up trophies in spades here and there and stuff, but they haven't really. The other name, I suppose, I wouldn't be completely adverse to is Luis Enrique, who's doing a good job with a bang average Spanish national team. They are very, very, like, if you look at a Spanish squad in comparison to the Spanish squads we've seen in years previous, this is a very average Spanish squad, and he gets them doing some very good things. And he also did a reasonable job at Barca as well before he left, So I think Enrique as well.
Although with Enrique, his selection process is a bit questionable, isn't it?
Yeah, very questionable. He seems to play favourites, and it doesn't matter how good or how bad you are. If you're in his good books, you're starting for the team. So I don't know if you really want that either. Kind of similar to Fred, like we've already got that with Fred. Yeah, exactly. But you don't want that either. Like we want to stamp that out.
You don't, but the managers are always going to have their favourites. Do you know what I mean? Because managers are going to put their trust in somebody to go out there and keep their job on a Saturday afternoon. You find it very rare where managers are really, really willing to roll the dice on something like that. Most of the time they'll go to the tried and tested. And if you look at the boys, he's bringing some young lads into that Spanish national team, the boy Gavi and the boy Pedri and stuff like that. There's green shoots in there at Spain, and it's not all from like unbelievable footballers that Madrid and Barca are churning out, because they're not. They're.
No, that is true.
I just look, if you're picking Morata over German.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Morata, if Morata is your starter striker, you're just like, no.
Well, it is, but here's the other thing, and we said this before, and because I'm not a fan of Morata at all, but the guys play for Juventus, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, and Chelsea. So whoever was doing the recruitment for these clubs, are they all wrong? Or are we maybe not seeing the best of Alvaro Morata? Because somebody somewhere thinks this guy's a footballer.
No, every one of them are wrong.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I think they're all buying him on the pretense that, well, he's been at them, like they must have seen something as well, so we'll give him a go. I think that's what's happening.
There's no football clubs in world football, Ted, that are buying a bloke because they've been at another club. Because that's not how recruitment happens.
Well, I don't see how Morata's getting fucking recruited everywhere. Then.
But that's my point. Morata's obviously shown way more than we see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because there's no way he's played for clubs like that. He's played for both sides of Madrid. You know, he's U of A. He's played for Chelsea. They're 4 big football teams.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't get games, you don't score goals for clubs like that if you're an absolute. Listen, I 100% understand. I'm not a fan of his, but I still think he's got to be shown enough to get moves like that. You know,
I suppose with Morata, I wouldn't say he played for these clubs. I'd say he was paid by these clubs when I'm defining it. You know,
as Eamon Dunphy would say, he's a cod.
He is a cod, yeah. No, I'd agree with Darren. Like, I think Rodgers is probably the best option there, but I don't think Rodgers would leave in January. I think he'd come, but I think he'd see out the season with Leicester. I don't think he'd do that to Leicester. I think he'd stick with them for the season, and you'd get him at the end of the season, but you won't get him midway through the season the way Chelsea got Tuchel. I just don't think he'd do that.
I think if that's the case over the next 5 games, if they don't go the right way, he might miss his opportunity now. Because I think you're going to have to make a change. I think at the moment, I think they're clutching at the moment. 1 minute they're blaming the owners. Now we're hearing that there's issues with the coaching. You know what I mean? When I listen that there's issues with the coaching, and I'm not saying the coaching blend that's in there is the greatest coaching blend that you could have in there for a team the size, or a club the size of United. But let's be honest here. There's Ronaldo and Cavani and all these guys and Bruno walking onto a pitch, and the issue is the coaching. They're being coached. Really? Does Ronaldo not know what he's supposed to do? Does Cavani not know what he's supposed to do? Does Bruno not know what he's supposed to do when match day rolls around? And now everyone's talking about the coaching. Come on.
Yeah, but there's also a serious lack of experience in the coaching section. If you look at McKenna, if you look at Carrick, and if you look at Solskjaer, like these are guys that have played under top managers that are tactically very, very astute. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
it's not as easy.
Darren, isn't it the easy place to go? Because now you can't really give out about the owners because they bought in all these players. So it's very hard to give out about the Glazers now, isn't it?
Well, listen, you know my feeling on the Glazers. I don't think they're the problem at United. I don't think they have been the problem at United. I think, they spent enough money. We've spoken about it before. They're taking out their 5%, their 4-point-something%, whatever it is. Would we go to work for less than 4-point-something? Not a chance. I wouldn't even get any bed, lads. So I don't think the Glazers have been the problem. I think the money's been pumped into United and into Old Trafford since Ferguson left. There's been more than enough money to build a squad that was gonna, win something, and we haven't won stuff. And the reason is we've had poor choices as managers, and and tactically we've struggled at times, and that was under all of them. We struggled under Moyes, we struggled under Mourinho, we struggled under Van Gaal, and now we're struggling under Solskjaer.
I did mention at the start of the season when these players were being signed and United fans were jumping up and doing hula hoops and loop the loops and all this good thing. I said this could potentially fall on its ass and could be a huge exposure in terms of Ollie and the coaching staff and various things like that. Because to be honest with you, I don't know whether he has the pedigree to be managing the likes of a Ronaldo and a Cavani and stuff like that. I don't know whether he can stand in a dressing room in front of Ronaldo and tell him how it is. You know what I mean? I just don't think he has that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of United fans coming out this week now saying, you can fuck your flick from 99. I'm not interested anymore. This kind of thing and all. They're really, really frustrated. You know what I mean?
I think they're wrong on that. I think they're wrong on that. Like, I do agree. Like, he was brought in to steady the ship, right? And whether people like it or not, he's done a good job in steadying the ship. Like, from what he took over to what we are now, he's done a good job. He's just not going to get you over that extra bit of the line that you need. He's done what he was asked to do when he came in, and there was, I don't know where these expectations that we are going to be winning a league title with him came from. I know we're Man United, and people are like, "Oh, but you should be able to win with those players." Yeah, we should. But Ole was never brought in to be like, this is the man to bring us back to the pinnacle. He was brought in because we were in a shit place from the previous managers having different signings and things like that.
Talk to me about that shit place. That shit place was a Europa League winner and second in the league. Asked for a centre back to be bought, which didn't happen. Said that Pogba was poisoned and wanted shot of him, and turned out to be more or less true. So what's this? I know the situation was a bit toxic, but I mean, this is a manager who won a Europa League, second in the league. That's where he left that club. So it's a bit unfair to turn around and go that Solskjaer took this, it was in a shit heap and it was toxic. Yeah, culturally, it probably wasn't where United wanted to be. But I mean, I wouldn't be laying that at Jose's door that he left this in the crapper. He asked for Pogba to go, and most fans wanted Pogba to go 6 months after Ollie took over. And he wanted Harry Maguire brought in. He wanted a centre back brought in, and they denied him a centre back when he asked for it.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not saying solely Jose though. Like he was right. He probably did. He wanted Pogba gone, but he was ripping into Luke Shaw constantly as well. You know, there was a toxicity in that dressing room, and it was never going to last. You couldn't keep the players on side with a manager who was going out and speaking like that in public. The Glazers look at this as a business. Like, whether people want to hear that or not, that's the truth. They're looking at this as a business. They don't really care all too much about football or anything like that. They're looking at it as a business, and he was bad for business. Like, he's out there bad mouthing them. He's bad mouthing the players. It's a bad look for the club. That's going to cost them money, and that's what they cared about. So that he was always going to go.
But what's the cost in terms of sponsors of not winning it?
I know, yeah, there is there is a loss if you're not winning anything, but at the same time, I think him, like the way Mourinho was speaking about the club, and I'm not saying he was wrong in what he was saying, but the way he was speaking about the club and about certain players, that he was losing the dressing room, and you know, he's notorious for it.
He was hung out to dry, and he was frustrated.
Yeah,
he had a plan for what he wanted at United, and he was left swinging in the wind. Let's call a spade here. Now, I'm not saying the environment was great. I'm not saying that's the way to talk. I'm not saying calling out the likes of Luke Shaw publicly about his weight and stuff like that was the way to go. Maybe he thought it was a different way of motivating someone and stuff like that. But I think most United fans at the moment would bite their hand off for second in the league in the Europa League win, wouldn't they?
Yeah, no, and I'm like, what I'm saying is, when Ole came in, like, we're in a bad place in terms of, you know, the squad just weren't happy with the manager and things like that. Yeah, we'd come off the back of what was our best season to date post Fergie, like, no doubt. But Mourinho couldn't stay there, and the Moyes experiment hadn't worked. LVG hadn't really worked either. People didn't really like his style of play. Went to Mourinho. Fans didn't like his style of play either. And then it was like, right, we'll bring in Ole, and he'll bring back the United way and all this, that, and the other. But I don't think people expected Ole to be here after 2 or 3 seasons, really, did they?
No, I don't think so either. I think Ole was brought in as a stopgap. And the problem was that the results went so well in the immediate of him coming in and the release of the pressure of Jose going. Yeah. And everybody started to play a bit of football, and all of a sudden we were winning games. And then the next minute they've given him a deal, 8 games in or whatever it was, and then you've tied him down, and then we seen the dip in form again, and you're thinking, what's going on here? Yeah. You know, if we had waited till the end of that season to make a decision over giving Solskjaer the job permanently, I don't think we would have given it to him. I think the problem was that we got that new manager bounce that we talk about, and we got those 7 or 8 games when we were unbeaten, we were scoring goals, everybody looked like the garden was rosy again, and all of a sudden, you know, there was an outcry from the fans, give him the job, give him the job, give him the job. They gave him the job, and then a couple of weeks later, lads were like, is he the right guy for this job? You know, so you have to be careful what you wish for at times.
I totally agree there, and I thought it was going to be like Giggs. Remember when Moyes got sacked, Giggs just filled in for a few games. I thought that exactly. Then obviously that big result against PSG, Rashford 10 on the last minute. I think we just lost our heads. You know, that's the way everyone talking about playing contracts and statues or whatever. But for me as well, I think it goes back. You know, you look at the cracks when Van Gaal was managing. He won the FA Cup final, knowing he was a dead man walking. For me, it probably wasn't the owners. A lot of it had to do with Woodward at the time as well, you know, if you want to look really far back. But yeah, no, like you were saying there, Ted, no one liked the style of Van Gaal. I was never a big fan of Mourinho either. But you know, we have to start thinking. Like, there's lads, you've probably seen it, Darren, on social media. Lads are still talking about Ferguson and the time he was given and all. It's a different game, lads. You know, forget about that. You know,
we and I mean this in the most respectful way possible. We've torn into Liverpool in the 80s and 90s, and that's basically where we are on this. You know, and I don't mean that to sound disrespectful, Noel, or to any other Liverpool fans, but there's this arrogance about United fans and about, you know, United as a club that we just deserve a spot at the top table. And based on the size of our club, you know, maybe we do, but you still have to earn that right. You still have to go and play those games and get down and dirty and win points and go away to fucking Stoke on a Tuesday night with piss and rain and go and get your 1-0 win and get home. You know what I mean? And we're not doing that. We're not up for a dogfight at all. Our players are, you know, extremely like pampered, and if decisions start going against them and stuff like that, they don't dig in, and it's not backs to the wall where, you know, Ferguson would have had United saying, you know, they're all against us, everyone's against us. Now it's time to get fucking huddle around and, you know, that pack mentality. It's not like that. You know, I've seen lads walking off after being beaten 4-2 and they're smiling and giggling with the bloke beside them. I want to loaf the fucking head off some cunt that they're beating me 4-2 on Saturday afternoon and I play a shit standard of football. So how these boys play and get fucking 200 grand a week and think it's all right to giggle to their mate off the national team and go, hey, John, well done, pal, great result, yeah. Get the fuck out of here, pal. Have a look at the jersey, have a look at the badge, and have a look at the fucking stands and what it means to the people in the fucking stands, because it's not fucking good enough.
Yeah, I think if you're going to walk into a change room and you're going to tell Cristiano Ronaldo that he's on the bench today, you need to be a certain ilk of a manager. And I don't think, I think that's a real problem there. I think what happens is the club has taken away most, if not all, of the excuses now for Solskjaer. And we potentially knew that if it went a little bit skew-ways, it was going to expose him. There's no doubt about it. And I think that's what's happened.
If that's an issue, and I'm certainly not saying it's not an issue, by the way, then for me, maybe, you know, the question is answered as to who you bring in next. Because if we're worrying about the likes of Bruno and, you know, Pogba and Ronaldo not buying into something because somebody's not this sort of a name, give it to Zidane. Give it to Zidane and say, and he just walks in and goes, by the way, boys, you're all fucking shite because I piss on you with my left foot. You know what I mean? That's, and just make him an absolute arrogant fucking cocky heel and just say, listen, boys, you're absolutely shy. Like, to think is that you have some fucking arrogance about you because you play for this big fucking team and because you get this much money or prick around on social media as a football team and as fucking footballers individually at the minute, you absolutely look like dog shit. Get the fuck over yourselves, build a bridge and start fucking moving on with this shit. And I think the only person that they buy that off is Zidane.
And that's what it might take. That's what it
might
take.
Yeah, that's
possibly.
No doubt about it.
Do you know?
Yeah.
On a lighter note, lads, I'm waiting for Phil Neville to be sacked from Inter Miami. We'll just get him in.
Be careful what you wish
don't
for.
even
don't-
joke
don't.
about that, man. Don't even fucking joke about that.
They've made stranger decisions.
Yeah.
Let's move on from it anyway, but safe to say it's going to be a very interesting few weeks for Manchester United, without a shadow of a doubt. Two of your boys, myself and Darren, have spoke about it at length. But the man in the middle there above my head, Mark and Ted, this Newcastle takeover. What's your initial thoughts on it? Let's say that we're now looking at the richest club in the world.
Well, Ant and Deck looked happy with it yesterday, didn't they? Seeing them in front of the lads. Yeah,
they did for the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's a strange one because, as obviously, if you're a Newcastle fan, it's, you know, you've been wanting rid of Mike Ashley for the last few years, and sometimes, like you say, you have to be careful what you wish for because, you know, look what's after coming in. Obviously, success isn't going to come out, you know, overnight. It's going to be at least a 2 or 3 year plan. You know, that type of way. I do feel sorry for Bruce. You know, I thought he'd be one of the first ones to go, but I feel sorry for him in a way because he's never had money to spend as a manager. So, obviously, all the talk of him getting sacked and all now as well. So,
sorry, Mark, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at him. Yeah. I have this 2 or 3 year plan for Newcastle, and it's kind of softly and gradual. But Noel thinks this is going to be balls to the wall in January and checkbook out and just.
I'm telling you now, I'm looking at, there's an owner sitting in the stand yesterday that's worth 360 billion, and you guys are talking about a 3 year plan. This is not going to be the case. This lad is going to back up the truck and shovel pallet loads of money out the back of it, and there's lads going to be coming in left, right, and centre because his biggest fear is when this financial fair play does kick in. Like, as I said to Darren already, you're going to have the Lamborghini Stadium, you're going to have the Ferrari training ground, you're going to have this, that, and the other, and that guy will justify money coming into that club to work around financial fair play. Those Newcastle jerseys will look like something out of the Tour de France overnight. Wait till you see the amount of patches he's it's going to
I tell you what, if he's
Mbappe on the back,
if he's gonna start shoveling patches onto things, you think you could put one on your woman Amanda Stavely? She looks like she just got off the Starship Enterprise, man. What the fuck is wrong with that mad looking thing?
And just imagine how much the Starship Enterprise would cost. So it's not a bad deal either.
Fucking hell, man. Is she rough or what? Holy yes.
Ted, you come in here. Do you believe this is going to be a 3 year plan? This guy is worth 360 billion.
I don't know. Like, is Mbappe going to go there? You know, like, Imagine rocking up to Mbappe and being like, "How you doing, mate? I'll come play in Newcastle. Where he is in the league? Don't be worrying about where we are in the league. Don't be worried." And who would I be playing with? John Joe Shelby,
Sean and Matty Longstaff.
John Joe Shelby will be there. You'll have Joe Linton up there beside you. No, I'm all right. I think I'll just stay here. I'll stay here. I think the first season there will be a big influx in the first, like in January and next season, but it won't be the likes of Mbappe and things like that. I could see Haaland ending up there because I think they will shovel out the money to get him, but I don't know if it'll be next season. I don't know if any of the other clubs are going to shovel out the money that Haaland's looking for. So I think Newcastle will be the club and he'll be the talisman and it'll be built from him and then you'll get other players. But I can't see all these big name signings coming in. There'll be a couple of decent signings. You might see the likes of McGinn and things come from the likes of Villa going over, but like a lot of these big name players are going to be looking at it going, yeah, I'm not sitting there playing ball with John Joe Shelby and those two brothers every week.
Nobody signing for a guy who's worth 360 billion is going to be thinking Matty Longstaff or John Joe Shelby or anyone like that. Noah's Ark is going to back into St. James's and they're going to open down the ramp and these lads are going to come out 2 by 2, factory built. They're going to probably find about 6 of these Erling Haalands and roll them out on the pitch. I'm telling you, there's no way, if I bought a club and I'm worth that type of bread, there's no way I'm turning around going, this is a 3-year project. I'm surprised Bruce still has a job. I'm surprised he wasn't done at half time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just,
I think I agree 100% with Ted.
Someone has to bite first. Like someone has to be the first big name to sign, and until that person comes, all the rest of them are going to be tentative about it.
And that's absolutely where Haaland will come in because they are fucking mercenaries. The outfit and the agent, they are only in this for the absolute green that they can make. And I mentioned it on the Takeover show with Niall. I see Haaland being the first one and being the big one that they'll land. He's the biggest fish, and then they'll start getting lads in beside him on the premises that you're going to be feeding the ball to Haaland here. This guy's going to do all the fucking work. All you got to do is get him the ball, and he'll be the saviour in Newcastle. They've got that jersey, that Newcastle number 9 jersey that Shearer wore and stuff like that. They'll sell it to Haaland, and obviously that 76 million buyout will be pittance to them, and they'll throw 500 grand a week at him, and no one else will budge. Everyone else will sit there going, no, not happening. And Newcastle will be absolutely all over it.
So let's suppose that happens, right? Let's suppose that scenario happens, right?
Yeah.
And let's suppose Newcastle then starts ringing around all the other agents. Are they all hanging up saying they're not interested because of Matty Longstaff and stuff like that when they know there's truckloads of cash to be had? Haaland's after going there. These guys must be extremely serious about this project.
I don't think it's whether they're serious or not. I think the likes of Haaland will sell it to other players. But I think, as Ted said, that there has to be. You've got to see the first mercenary to walk in the door. It's like the first person that passes a ticket. You're going, you're a scab, right? And people will do it when Haaland goes. They'll be like, he's only there for the money. He's only there for the money. And people forget about that after the second, third, fourth, and fifth bloke walk in the door. Do you know what I mean? But the initial one, who's going to buy first? And I think he's the one that Newcastle can get to buy first because I think it's all about the dollar bills with Raiola and with the father.
I think you could probably make that point probably for the top 30 players in the world, could you? That it's all about the money.
I don't know.
Would Messi have walked into Newcastle? I don't think so.
If they offered him the right money, Ted, he went to PSG.
Yeah, but PSG are an established, club. Whether people like them or not, they're established and they were winning stuff. I don't think he's shown up the bloody Newcastle. Haaland, on the other hand, that lad is mercenary central.
In a French league where they're the only club in it, basically.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Like at least they were winners. I don't see the likes of Messi or Ronaldo or anything walking into bloody Newcastle and being like, I signed that now. Mercenary Haaland, he be fucking all over it, that lad.
Yeah.
Do you not remember the other South American to go in there and score a load of goals, lads?
Faustino.
Yeah, no, do you remember goal, the film? What was his name?
Munez. Santiago Munez.
Yeah. But no, I think you could even see the likes of Philip Coutinho coming back into the Premier League. Players like him and stuff like that. Yeah,
Um,
like they don't have to be all like I agree with you with Haaland and stuff like that, but you just have to have other lads in there to do the donkey work as well, you know.
Every team needs a water carrier, you know. You do. You look at, you know, any successful team. Look at that French national team. They've got Kante. Look at the Chelsea team. They've got Kante. You know, look at any of those decent teams. They've got guys who are gonna get down and dirty. Look at the other day, like, you know what I mean. You had players that wanted to get the ball back off United so they could give it to these lads to play football. The problem with United is everyone thinks they can play football, even the boys that can't. Do you know?
So that's like that's why I'm wondering about those conversations then, you know. Do you want to get down on dirty for 300 grand a week, or do you want to get down on dirty for 600 grand a week?
I think with certain players though, there's genuine ambition there. And there's, you know, like if you look at Kane, and this is the reason I don't think we'll end up with Kane at Newcastle, because I genuinely think Kane sees himself as, I'm England captain, you know, I score all these goals. What have I got to show for it? Absolutely diddly squat, other than a bank balance that says X, Y, or Z. And I think he feels like he won't be fulfilled as a footballer without trophies. You know, he won't be up there with the Shearers, with the Michael Owens, with the, you know what I mean? So I think that's where he sees himself.
He'll never be up there with them anyway.
Why?
Because what's he gonna do? Man City walked away from him, didn't want him. He had to crawl back to Spurs.
I don't think City didn't want him. I think City very much want them, but they have a level where they're willing to go to. And I think, listen, they were clever, because when they go to get him this summer, it cost half the price.
What I should have said, they didn't want them at that price.
Yeah. And listen, this is what happens when you deal with Daniel Levy. You know, there's a lot of teams have walked away from deals with Spurs over Daniel Levy, and, you know, the way he kind of fucking highballs you like that. And he's like, listen, this is the price, end of story, get out of town. There's got to be leeway on both sides, you know. I was selling a figure the other day. I wanted 150. Your mom wanted to give me 100. We met in the middle at 125. The job was done. Like, it's simple. It's, you know what I mean? It's not that difficult to get a deal done. But when you're dealing with leaving, he's like, it's 150. That's the end of it. It's 150. That's the end of it. It's like, people get pissed off dealing with that. You know, if you don't come to the table to talk about it, what do you come to the table for at all?
So you three think it's a 3-year project. I still think it's pretty much less. But we shall see. It'll be interesting. January's going to be about it. Can't wait for January. Let's move on. Another one. I'll skip one for a minute. Marcus Rashford fuming at all these comments about maybe start focusing on football now instead of looking after school kids with lunches, basically. I know probably that's a bit blunt in terms of the context, but it seemed to come across that way, didn't it?
Yeah, it didn't come across very well, did it? You know, listen, like, here's the thing. Ollie's looking at two things right now. One, he's looking for, he needs somebody to save his bleeding hole, because he's hanging out to dry, and he's like, you know what, if this kid can come in and have a big impact the way he can, because at times Rashford can be, you know, unplayable at United. And then there's times you look at him, you think, has he ever played before? So, you know, he can have that massive impact. And I think from Ollie's point of view as well, he's probably thinking, the kid's so young to be taking on all this stuff at that age. You know, wait, you're 35 and you're nearly finished and you're winding down to start doing all this stuff. Focus on being one of the biggest players in the world, if that's what you can be, because maybe that gives you an even bigger platform, you know, to go and do what you want to do in the tail end of your career, you know? I
suppose the problem is the kids waiting on the lunches would be dead at that stage if they could wait at least 35.
But you can see how ambitious he is. Like, you know what I mean? He got the first step of it done, then he gets back for more. You know, he got his doctorate there last week. Like, if Solskjaer was that bothered of him concentrating on football, he would have sat down and told him to get his shoulder surgery done much earlier than he actually did. If he was that bothered about him, like, you know. Yeah. I think what he's saying was fantastic. You know, I think, like you were saying there, Dan, I think Solskjaer's feeling the pressure a bit, and he's trying to take the spotlight away from himself, you know. Yeah. I thought I read there, I don't know how true it's not that he said it was taken out of context and this, that, and the other, but yeah, I just think it's a cop out from Solskjaer.
Yeah, there's other people to go at as well, rather than, you know, the guy who's out there doing charity work for poor children who can't afford their lunches. There's probably a couple of other boys in the locker room you could have a go at there a lot easier than that, and you'd come across a bit better.
I don't know. He had a go at Ronaldo and he just walked down the tunnel.
Yeah, but have a go at somebody for like social media or something. Don't be giving out to someone for feeding poor children. Like, but not a good look. I do think it was taken out of context, because I don't think Ole's turning around with that sort of thing. You know,
he's
just
not
in
great.
general,
His media duties aren't great. Let's just leave it at that. He's kind of he doesn't say at times what he's thinking. He says it in a different kind of way that comes across a bit abrupt or something, you know. Mo Salah, best player on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the moment, yeah, it's unplayable.
Georgie Kelly off balls for me. He was injured tonight against Rovers, but he's been excellent. Go ahead. And by the way, that goal against Watford, the defenders were brutal. That wasn't a class goal. I blame the defender. Sorry, go ahead now.
What about the City goal?
I didn't see that. I was sick that day.
Neither did the 3 best defenders in the world and the keeper.
And now listen, you have to give it to him. What's it? 12 goals and how many assists in his last few games or something like that in the last whatever. Listen, obviously was it the end of last season he wasn't too great. But I think he's the biggest African player, the biggest amount of goals scored by an African player in the Premier League now he has or something like that, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's broke any of those records there. He's broke most of them at this stage. But I just think, and I still think, and I said it to Dane on the Shankly sessions as well, if you'd like to check it out on the Dynamo Podcast Network, that he can still get better. He can still improve and he can still get better, which is really scary. And I think Liverpool just have to tie him down as quickly as possible.
I don't know how, and I'm certainly not saying this to be, argumentative. I don't know how much better he could get, if I'm honest. I think him maintaining that level would be the best that Liverpool could hope for. But I think if he maintains that level, you've absolutely got the best player in the world. I think he's phenomenal. Just everything about the lad is gold at the minute. His touch is unbelievable. He's gliding across the ground. He seems like he's got so much time every time he gets the ball. And I suppose that's something we've always looked at good players and thought, how come this guy seems like he has forever on the ball? It's not. He's just doing everything so quickly and so smoothly that he's making it, optically, visually look that way. But he really is playing smashing
and enjoying it so much.
And enjoying it. And he, and listen, he's under, I'd be dead and I'd be still harping on about this. He's under a guy that, is going to get the absolute best out of him. Klopp for me is still the biggest star at Anfield. And he's given the guys a platform to go and play football. He hasn't kind of impeded them with too many tactics and with too much of, do A, do B, do C. There's a fluidity to Liverpool that's, sickening to say, but it's very enjoyable to watch, even the way they move the ball and with the speed, and lads seem to it's second nature that they know where they're going. And it's the subtleties of, I think I seen one of the goals a couple of weeks ago. Salah was coming in from the right hand side and Mane went across the front of him. And on any other team, you're thinking, what's he doing getting in the way? And it wasn't. He dragged the 2 centre backs across the field and opened up this gaping hole where Mo could drive into it and ping one in. You were just like, the subtlety of the move was unbelievable. It's obviously something they do in training and they've mastered it, that it just looked like it was effortless from the boys,
Yeah, absolutely.
The Madrid will build the team around him next season, I think, to be honest with you.
Only if they're moving to Liverpool.
And actually, shout out to Bobby there. I don't think anyone would have had him in their fantasy team. He got a hat-trick the weekend as well. So,
absolutely. Let's have a look at the Champions League. Do a quick preview. Get some predictions. Bruges versus Man City.
Shitty.
It should be City, yeah. Bruges have had a decent little run so far, but I think it should be coming to an end here, shouldn't it?
I don't know. I fancy Bruges for the draw. I think this could be a dodgy one, alright.
I thought Bruges had a chance until I found out it was going to be Colin Farrell and fucking Brendan Gleeson up front. Otherwise, they might have got something over.
And that midget.
And that fucking midget.
He's in nets, is he?
Was that the lad that fell from the bell tower? I just God. Atletico versus Liverpool.
I think it'd be a draw.
Is it home or away?
It's away in Madrid in the Wanda.
In the Wanda. I like the stadium actually. I think score draw.
Ted?
1-1.
Now, if Salah keeps playing the way he's playing, he's unplayable at the moment. I don't know if he's playing like that. I think Liverpool will do it.
I think Liverpool 3-1.
Ooh.
Here's an interesting call. Man United, Atalanta.
Definitely an away win for Atalanta. Yeah. No, I think we'll scrape it by a goal.
Darren.
Yeah, 2-1, I think, but it could be something very similar to Villarreal, couldn't it? Where it's a bit of a tough night at the office, but you just do enough to get over the line, and we become Moments FC again, and just nick it with something in the last couple of minutes, you know. Don't think we could argue with 3 points though. That'd be unbelievable for us, you know. Really, really important.
Especially staring into Sunday. Ted.
I'm the same as the lads. I think it'll be. I don't think we'll keep clean sheet. Is Wan-Bissaka back yet? Or what's
Yeah,
the
he
story
got.
with him?
Yeah, it got overturned. It's down to 1 game, so he served that already.
Right, grand. Yeah, I think it'll still be a 2-1, maybe a 3-1, but it won't be a comfortable 3-1 either. It'll be one of those scrappy ones, and we'll score, you know, the second in like in the 70th minute or something, and then they'll go and attack, and we'll counter attack and get a 3-1 or something. But it'll be a scrappy game again. Be lucky to take the 3 points and get out of there.
All hinging on Wan-Bissaka. Chelsea versus Malmo.
Should be Big Rom's chance to get a hat trick, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Chelsea all day here, don't you? That's if he plays Big Rom, he might drop him and he might rotate.
I think he should play Big Rom, because I think he looks like he needs a couple of goals. Just from a confidence point of view. I think his all-round play actually is so much better than we see at United. He's even looked like he's had a first touch at times. And he's now not getting shouldered off the ball by midgets, which is great for Chelsea.
But he play for Bruce, didn't he, again?
Yeah, but I think he needs a couple of goals, and I think they'll probably start him, try and get a couple under his belt, and then take him off and let Timo have a go, because he needs quite a while to score goals, that lad, doesn't he? Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, it should be Chelsea. They escaped from fucking Brentford there on the weekend. Jesus, on the Beckham podcast, I think it was, Darren, you were talking about how he used to touch the goalposts and the crossbar. I fucking Mendy must have been at that shtick, because Jesus, the post saved him once on
he was
each
out.
side,
He was out on Saturday morning shaking bones at them fucking sticks before bleeding the Brentford game, man.
Papa Shango.
Absolutely.
Yeah, God, I don't know how they escaped with the win there now, to be honest.
We better just mention it, because we know Eno's going to be listening. He was unbelievable in fairness.
Massive saves as well.
He was unbelievable, and he has been very good. You know, his size he's so big. He's got that wingspan, you know, and he's so hard to get the ball past. He's definitely up there, you know, in the upper echelons of the goalkeeping world at the minute. So we'll have to tip our hat for Eno, just so he doesn't get on to us later.
Without a doubt, he's the best keeper in the moment. Let's move on from that, lads. Ballon d'Or picks. Give us your potential pick for the Ballon d'Or. Give me one name each.
Lewandowski.
Mark.
Haaland.
Ted.
Lewandowski as well. I think he was robbed of it last year. Deserves it this year.
Yeah.
Interesting. I won't tell you my pick, because we did an episode on the Ballon d'Or yet to release, so I'm not giving away my pick yet.
I'm assuming yours is Salah anyway, is it?
No.
No, all right.
Is he a Liverpool player?
No.
It's Lukaku, isn't it?
No.
Does he play in the Premier League?
He does. And I ain't saying anything else.
I know who your pick is.
I'm not telling you.
Is it Jorginho?
Could be. I'm not giving it away though. It could be.
That's me guess. Me guess is Jorginho. If Jorginho gets the Ballon d'Or, it's a fucking sad indictment on football, man.
Listen, that man managed not to win midfielder of the year or midfielder of the year and the thing, and then managed to win player of the tournament. Like, listen, you can't not be the best midfielder and be the best player in the tournament. It's one or the other.
Christ, man.
Darren's standing there livid. Look, go on.
I don't get it. Jorginho, I don't get it. He's grand. I just don't get it. Like, you know,
Champions League, won the Euros.
he's not winning them on his fucking Toblerone, though, is he?
No,
Like, look at the boys.
Yeah, but it's an individual award, and they're not all nominated.
No, I know that, but look at the bleeding, the defense and the goalkeeper he has behind him at Italy. Like, he's playing defensive midfielder. It's not that difficult to fucking defend, like, you know, some of the bleeding best centre backs of all time. Like, let's be honest here. You know, Bonucci and Chiellini. Like,
I mean, you could argue he has a similar setup at Chelsea, but you couldn't hold it against him, could you? You can't hold it against players.
Not necessarily hold it against them, but I just think if you're a midfielder, I want to see a little bit more from you. You know, I don't think he dictates play the way he can, or the way he should. Sorry, I don't think he has an unbelievable magical foot the way he just picks fellas out. I just think he's bog standard 5-10 yard passes, resets, opens, closes. He
was much better and very influential down the run to the Champions League win, wasn't he?
He's a really tidy footballer. He is a really but is he a Ballon d'Or? Lads, hold on a minute. If he gets Ballon d'Or, it's time to stop fucking playing.
Yeah, it's an interesting call, but I don't know. I don't know if you win the Champions League and you win the Euros, regardless of what's around you, it's a tough call to go.
Yeah, but if Kante can't win it when he's winning the World Cup and things like that,
and he's a far better footballer than Jorginho.
Should Jorginho be getting ahead of him? Do you know what I mean? Like, was it the Champions League that Kante won midfielder of the year?
He's not even the best midfielder in Chelsea, like.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a Ballon d'Or. Hold the phone, lads, will you? Jesus. It's the no house calling to see him in. Fucking hell.
I can't wait to release this episode. It's going to be fun. Well, lads, a pleasure as always. Roll on the Champions League, and then no doubt we'll have you back in. I'd say probably Thursday. We're going to do a preview for Sunday, which should be absolutely electric.
So you'll have to say a prayer for me, lads. I'm bringing the two young fellas to watch the game on Sunday. The 6-year-old, it's going to be his first time at Old Trafford. He doesn't even know about it yet, and we were supposed to go before lockdown for his birthday. We were supposed to go see United and Sheffield United, and I'm bringing him on Sunday. And I'm just thinking, how's your first game? We lost 4-0 at home to Liverpool.
That's where you never know. We could be our good luck charm.
Hopefully, man.
If we win, you're gonna have to bring him to all the games going forward.
Yeah, that'll work, man.
You got to break that stranglehold and just get him a Mo Salah jersey, and it'll be all good.
You prefer to shit me hands and clap, thanks.
And we could get the game called off again. We'll just write it on the pitch beforehand.
That worked out well last time, didn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't too bad.
We got arse raped 3 weeks later, didn't we?
Yeah.
5 days later, wasn't it?
Was it only the Wednesday?
Yeah, it was moved from the Sunday to the Thursday, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm still trying to forget about it.
Yeah.
Fucking 5 games in 7 days or something.
Yeah.
It's a measure of success, isn't it? Ferguson would have never complained about 5 games in 7 days. He would have added up.
There was nothing he wouldn't complain about.
I would have complained about 1 game every 2 weeks.
Till next time, man, an absolute pleasure having you on. As always, Dynamo Podcast Network for the video, Spotify for audio versions of the show. If you want to hit us up, let us know your comments. Do you agree with the boys? Ollie in, Ollie out. Is Mo the best on the planet? Is the Newcastle takeover good, bad, indifferent? Will it take time? Will it be pretty quick? Instantaneous, lads. Wait till you see this happen. It'll be unbelievable. And if you want to contact the show, you'll get us on Twitter at @the_upper_tier, or you get us on Facebook and Instagram, the upper tier. Till next week, gents, a pleasure.
Thanks, man.
Cheers, lads.